Hi guys, today I want to speak about bandhas because it's come up in my prenatal classes, but I wanted to start with a video that is non-prenatally related, just so we can understand the basis and then we can work off of that in the next video in the next day or so. I know that we mainly talk about three bandhas in the body. Mula bandha, Uddiyana bandha, and Jaladhara bandha. Mula bandha meaning the root lock, right, which is at the base of the pelvic floor in the perineum. Then we have Uddiyana bandha, which is the flying upwards lock, and it is right below the belly button, about like 3 fingers in. And then we have the Jaladhara bandha, which is at the throat, Jala's throat. And we rarely use this one, but it's there, and it's basically, if you think of Jaladhara bandha and Mula bandha, if you're engaging both simultaneously, you're preventing the prana, or the energy that you are generating through your practice, from escaping out of the body, right, from the top or the bottom. And so by regenerating it, it's blocking it from escaping, it's being pushed into the nadis, or these little channels of energy, conductors of energy within the body, specifically the 2 main ones, Ida and Pingala. And so the energy is just circulating within your body, and that's why at the end of a practice you might feel really replenished, right, like if you just had a really good night's sleep. And that is because you are kind of rewiring the energy of the body, redirecting it inwards into the center and then outwards where it needs to be distributed. That's just like a very basic explanation of something that is a very intricate system, which I am not an expert on, and I am not going to dive into the details of that right now. My point being that there's these 3 bandhas, but there are other places in the body that are going to help you in the practice, in feeling connected, in feeling rooted within your body, in holding yourself from within, in making your body light, which is the whole idea of the bandhas, right? You're holding the body from within, you're making it light, and you're drawing it into center, right? So I like to think of a bandha as kind of like a suction cup. So if you think about it that way, let's begin with the hands, right? When you're in down dog, or when you're trying to do handstand, or when you're jumping through, any place really where your hand is on the floor, there's a point of contact that is capable of pulling the energy upwards, right? It's like a suction cup style. And in the hand, we have the palm of the hand. So when you're, let's just take down dog as an example, because it's the simplest form, simplest asana for everybody to relate to. So you have your hands down on the ground, you have all 10 fingers spread out on the floor, right? And then if you begin to think about pressing the tips of your fingers down, which, by the way, this tip is also very useful for handstanders, and you begin to kind of, it's not a tension, but you're kind of like pulling the floor back with your fingertips, kind of like Spider-Man, right? And so the knuckles begin to lift a little bit, and then this part right here of the hand is pressing down, right? It's not, you're not like clenching your fingers, it's just a very subtle drawing back. And then all of a sudden, the palm of the hand begins to lift, right? And even though you might not see it at a physical level, there's an energetic pulling up. There's actually, you'll feel right here a physical pulling up, right? And so that's like the palm bandha, right? You want to really engage through that to make yourself light, and you will feel how that translates and moves up into the shoulders, right? First into the elbow. You can think of having a little bandha in your elbow, right? So if you are hyperextending your elbow, you're blocking that, you're preventing that nice suctioning upwards of energy from happening. So you want to think of rotating, pressing the thumb down, pressing the pinky down, and then rotating your elbow in towards the face, like the outer edge of the elbow right here, I only have one hand, sorry, towards the face, right? And you will feel how that translates or moves up into the shoulder blade. Your shoulder blade will widen on your back, and your shoulder will rotate as well, allowing for your armpit, which is where there's another bandha, to kind of hollow out, right? So a correct down dog position, you will really feel like from the hand all the way to the shoulder, you are one piece, and you will feel very, very solid, just like if you were standing on your feet. You will feel this nice line of energy drawing up from the ground into the shoulders. And if you're doing that correctly, then that will continue to move up your spine and then down your pelvis and rotate forward into your Uddiyana Bandha, before obviously it's going to hit Mula Bandha. So there's this nice line of beginning from the hands, translating up into the elbows, into the hollowing of the armpits, up the back and shoulder blades nice and widened, into the pelvis, feeling the sit bones drawn in, the pelvic floor moving up. And then you come around and the abdomen moves in and up. There's that nice suction and lightness in the abdomen. The rib cage pulls in towards the back body, the front of the ribs, right? So you're nice and compact. You can even, like, if you can begin to imagine that, there is this compactedness, this lightness that begins to happen in the upper body. And now if we move from the sitting bones down into the legs, you can think of, I like to start from the floor down. So we're going to start from the feet actually up towards the hips. So if you think about your feet, same idea. You want to think of your big toe, your pinky, and your heel really grounding solidly into the floor. And you will feel the arch of your foot, where there's a little bandha there, pulling up, right? Pulling upwards towards the top of the foot. And that's going to translate up into the knee, which is going to lift itself upwards, right? And the thigh bone is going to lift itself upwards. And then you want to think of rotating the sitting bones inwards towards each other. You're not really rotating them physically, but I'm just kind of trying to use a wording that will allow the visual to happen in your mind, right? And so now all of a sudden you're nice and lifted, you're nice and light, and you're doing that by pulling up from the floor and by pulling up in any area of your body where there is a possibility for suction and for upward lifting. So I hope you try this out. I didn't even get into the breath, which we will get to in another video because that's a whole other topic, but I just wanted to give you a really concise and quick visual of what it might look like for you to experience a bandha, like full body bandha experience. So try it out. Let me know how it feels. If you have questions, I will try to explain it a little bit more. Maybe I can show myself in the asana. It's a little hard not having someone to do it on, but these are all concepts that I explore and that I do workshops on in my retreats. So hopefully, if the situation ceases, we'll be able to gather all together live and work on this together. Anyway, send me your comments and your questions.